anyone here celebrating anything? Anything big to celebrate? What are you celebrating?
32 years of marriage.
32 years of marriage. Congratulations. What's your secret?
I don't know. Marrying your best friend.
Marrying your best friend. That is great advice. Probably not great advice for someone my age and demographic, because that is how you end up in something that's called a situationship. Do you know what a situationship is?
No.
You don't? Okay. So a situationship is when you think that you're dating someone and then it turns out that you're not. I read recently on Twitter that a situationship is what the sad person in the situationship calls it. The other person doesn't call it anything at all. When I was in college, I was in a situationship for 5 years. I was in college for 4 years. So that means that I learned pretty much everything I needed to know for an undergraduate degree in English literature, but I did not learn my lesson. It's tough. My situationship, we weren't super into like PDA outside of the dorm room. I would say bedroom, but it's really more of like just one big open space. Like we never went on dates or like held hands out in public at parties together or anything like that. And I always chalked that up to like him being a little bit more of an introvert. Like I was like, oh, well, he's shy, you know, like he wears glasses and those sweaters with elbow patches, and he reads a lot of Tolkien. And so I read a lot of Tolkien. And so I thought that that was why he wasn't like super outwardly affectionate. But we continued to hook up for 5 years. It was actually after I graduated, I went back to DC for my best friend from college's wedding. I'd moved out of town, but I was coming back to be a bridesmaid in this wedding. And I texted him and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be back in town. How would you like to hook up in a bed that's not a twin size? And he jumped on that opportunity. It was great. And so I texted him the address of the hotel that my mother had paid for. And I'm like, I'm gonna be at the rehearsal dinner, meet me here later. And so I go to the rehearsal dinner, I'm all dressed up, I'm drinking a ton of free alcohol that I cannot afford. And so then I go back to the hotel and he's there waiting for me. And remember how I told you he was a nerd? Well, he was sitting there waiting for me in the hotel lobby and he was reading a book. Sexy, right? It's sexy if you're into nerdy guys, okay? Like, just get on board with the being into nerdy guys thing for a second. And so I would saunter up to him and I'm like, let's go upstairs. And so we go upstairs to my hotel room and he takes one look at me as I'm standing there in my dress and my makeup and my hair blown out at Dry Bar, which I spent $60 on. And he goes, do you mind if I finish this chapter? And that hurt. That bruised the ego a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I'm several years removed from that. It's 5 years this year that I have graduated from college. So I'm several years removed from this. I'm okay now, I'm over it. But I was recently on TikTok, and I don't know if any of y'all are on that side of TikTok where it's showing you videos on your For You page about the signs and symptoms of undiagnosed adult autism. Great, not just me? Awesome. Because I've been seeing that a lot. And so I sent one of those videos to my friend whose wedding it was. And I was like, hey, you remember that guy? Do you think, based on what's being displayed here in this video, that he has undiagnosed adult autism? And she goes, no, Courtney, I don't think he has undiagnosed adult autism. And a couple of you are probably thinking, oh no, she's gonna say you have undiagnosed adult autism. That's not what she said. She said, he does not like you. And for some reason, that was very difficult for me to process. I don't understand what that means. I think it's because as comedians, we're like conditioned to be narcissists, right? Like you all paid money to come here and listen to, not me, you came here for Amy, obviously, but like you came here to listen to me talk about my personal life and stories. It's not about you, but it's about me for sure. And that's part of the reason why I have a hard time thinking about dating other stand-up comedians, because we're all narcissists like that. I also think that it's sort of like dating your coworkers, right? Like, you know that old cliche, don't shit where you eat? Sorry, I said that right as food came out for both of you. But dating your coworkers and don't shit where you eat, it's hard for comics specifically because a lot of us are, no offense, poor. And so a lot of us live in studio apartments. It's just sort of one big room of shitting and eating and shitting and eating. Like, for example, my type has always been like the River North finance bro investment banker guy. Like if he's got a really boring job, well, exactly my type. It's perfect. But recently on my Hinge, because I'm unhinged, because I'm sad, it told me that my most compatible person in the entire city of Chicago that day was a stand-up comedian who I know. And I know him from having a crush on him. But I don't know how to tell Hinge that we are not compatible because I've been to his apartment and he does not own a bath mat. And I'm sure some of you are imagining that he's just like got a folded up full-size body towel next to his shower. But no, it's just wet. I posted a clip of that joke recently on my Instagram, and a comedian slid into my DMs. He said, "Hey, Courtney, I just want to let you know, I know that you have a crush on me, but I'm not looking for anything serious right now." And I didn't have the heart to tell him that joke was not about him. But what does it mean that more than one stand-up comedian in the city of Chicago doesn't own a bath mat? I then posted an iteration of that joke with that ending to it on my Instagram, and an audience member slid into my DMs. And he said, "Just so you know, I do have a bath mat. My ex-girlfriend left it at our apartment when we broke up." That is not the flex you think it is. That means I should be dating your ex-girlfriend. And I would too. Fun fact about me, I do identify as bisexual because I haven't gotten enough attention yet. September is actually great for that. It's the second week of September is an overlap of Bi Visibility Week and Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm sure none of you knew that, and that's okay. But I would be at like the apex of my power if anyone believed that I was either of those things, let alone both. I love heritage months and that sort of stuff. I think they're fun celebrations, but I don't know that I really love Hispanic Heritage Month. Are any of y'all from Chicago? Yeah, exactly. So you know exactly why I don't love Hispanic Heritage Month. Every year during Mexican Independence Day weekend, they shut down all of the streets to get into downtown, which is where I live, with all of the cars with their flags out their windows. And last year during Hispanic Heritage Month, I actually was trapped in an Uber for 2.5 hours trying to go to my apartment. It got to the point where the cops had still blocked off the entrance for Ida B. Wells. And I got out of the car, and I walk up to the cop, and I'm like, "Sir, I just want to go back to where I came from." That's a Mexican joke. Maybe it would land better if you believed I was Mexican. It's okay. I don't take that personally. The thing about Heritage Months, I was at a Chicago Bulls game when they were doing the Black History Month. It was like the first game of Black History Month. And they had everyone stand for the Black National Anthem. That's how they were going to celebrate Black History Month. They said, "Please rise for the Black National Anthem." Any of y'all know what the Black National Anthem is? No, I'm not surprised. It's "Lift Every Voice and Sing." It's a beautiful song. And so they said, "Please rise for the Black National Anthem." And everyone rose, and they sang it with the words on the Jumbotron. And then they said, "Please remain standing for the regular national anthem." And I thought that was like a Scotch racist. But it got me thinking, what are they going to do for all the other heritage months, right? Like next month after Black History Month is Women's History Month. So they're going to say, "Please rise for the women's national anthem." All too well, the 10-minute Taylor's version. And then "Please remain standing for the men's national anthem." Do you know what it's going to be? The men's... No, the men's national anthem is one full episode of the Joe Rogan podcast. But that is a close second, sir.